on. I'd like to call to order the September 6th regular council meeting, and we are honored to gather on the unceded traditional territory of the Comox First Nation. Approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Carried. Minutes?
Move the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Carried. No delegations. Correspondence from Roger Kishi concerning the Oban tour, and it was asking for us to sponsor a portion of the dinner that was held in the Cumberland Legion. This is an event that happens every 2 years in Cumberland. They had a bus with 45 passengers coming from the Vancouver area, and dinner was provided by the Legion, and they were asking $500 donation towards that cost.
Do we want to talk or do we want to move it?
You can talk, you can move it. Yeah.
I'm happy to support it. I'm happy to move it.
Yep.
Okay. That council support funding from the Oban tour donations held by the village
And could you put in the amount of 500, please?
of $500.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Next, no unfinished business. Reports. That council received the development permit proposed lots for 2787 Beck Avenue report.
Move receipt. Second.
All in favor? Carried.
Hello, Mayor and Council, sorry. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this report is to seek council approval of a development permit to allow for the construction of 2 industrial warehouses and a caretaker suite on proposed lot 4 out on the Akiano subdivision, 2787 Beck Avenue. So the property is currently under active subdivision. The proposed development complies with the current zoning, and siting of the building complies with setbacks from the proposed lot lines. Allowing processing of the development permit prior to completion of subdivision allows the applicant to advance establishing their business in the village of Cumberland. Council may approve the development permit, but can only be issued after the subdivision is completed. And as most of you probably know, the Tree Island Yogurt facility is currently underway on proposed lot 1. Only 1 building can be approved for construction prior to subdivision. A development permit for Drury Electrical on proposed lot 6 was approved by council on April 25th, 2022, and issuance of that is held in abeyance until the subdivision is complete. Further building permits will not be issued until completion of subdivision. So the proposed development is subject to 2 development permit areas, DPA 1, the Environmental Protection Development Permit, and DPA 5, Industrial. And the application complies with all guidelines of both DPA 1 and DPA 5. No referrals are recommended for this application, as the proposed industrial building is consistent with the Bevan Lands concept plan and approved by council in 2020. The preparation of the concept plan included a component of public engagement, and the development of the Bevan Industrial Lands is a council strategic objective, and staff recommend approval.
Questions from members of council? We'll start with Councillor Brown.
I just have a quick question on the site plan, page 29 of 146. The green bits, I presume, are landscaping or open. Maybe they're not landscaping. Maybe that's why I'm confused. Anyway, there's green bits right up against the building. I'm just wondering if that's landscaping or what those green spaces.
Yeah, they do have proposed landscaping in front of quite a few of the buildings. If you scroll down, sorry, I'm not sure what section it is. The landscape plan has closer detail on those spots.
Okay.
Schedule D, page 118, I believe. And I think page 117 is the color.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do show shrubs in front of those buildings there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the landscape plan. It's lovely.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Sproul, do you have questions?
No, this seems a very full report done by people who know what we're looking for. So, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, Councillor Sullivan?
No. No questions, thanks.
Councillor.
Yeah, just some comments on, so it's great that we have the environmental permit areas, and they, of course, require that we do bioinventory, or that the development does bioinventory of plants and animals, and that it does an impact assessment, and that's all well and good, except that, of course, if the previous owner was a forestry company and cleared the land, then of course that there's not a lot to then to have as a bioinventory. And that's something that we've talked about before in council, and something that we continue to bring to forums like UBCM, like we have next week. Just one of the things on the list of changes that we'd like to see with the Private Managed Forest Lands Act is when they act like developers, clear the land, sell it, and then it's a bit of a loophole for our environmental assessment process. So just wanted to mention that, but everything else with this looks good. I do have a question around the septic. So we have water out there now, which is great. So
Yep.
water is not being pulled from the area from wells, which is really good as it's Morrison Creek headwaters. But with the septic, we will eventually want to have service out there. And now we're doing it at development permit stage. So I'm just wondering how we can sort of make this a collective thing as far as helping to pay for that infrastructure to get out there, if we're doing it sort of incrementally. And also, if we're going to have Fortis Gas put the gas line out there to capture the landfill gas that's currently being flared, is there an opportunity for us to tag along any sort of infrastructure improvement with sewage along with that?
I don't have an answer for that at the moment, but it's definitely something we can look into.
Thanks.
Anything further?
That's it.
Okay.
So can I just follow up on the septic?
Okay.
So the septic is in tanks, yes?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Which, and it'll all go through approvals at building permit when
Yeah.
they're actually doing the installation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Thank you. So actually, I think what will happen is that each septic field or septic disposal system will be designed per development. So it won't be a pump and haul situation. I just wanted to clarify that might have been what you were asking when you asked about tanks. So there would be a dispersal field on the property, and each would be designed for that building and the needs for that building.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Sullivan? Oh, you said no questions. I just have, I wanted to, one question is that it looks really great. My question is, there's gonna be a lot of employees out there, and if a vendor comes out there in a food truck, will they have the opportunity? I know it will be up to the business if they want them there, but can they arrange it so that there's some kind of electrical hookup for them instead of when they're out there using generators?
I think potentially, I mean, it would have to be organized through the property owner. I'm not sure what type of plug-in a food truck needs, if it's just a regular electrical cord. I don't know for sure, but I think there's definitely opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Especially if they want them out there on their private property. I think, nobody likes the sound of a generator running nonstop all day, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely discuss it. We don't have any way to require that, obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I know the people in the food truck would rather be hooked up to electric and
yeah.
not be using a generator for themselves, for their peace of mind also.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to add, excellent report from staff, also from Ecofish Research Limited and Wedler Engineering. It's one of the best reports we've had on the development, and it shows the amount of work that was done not only by our staff but by council and what they wanted to see out there. So thank you.
Thank you.
So what is your pleasure, council?
The council approved the development permit 2022-060P for the property described as proposed lot 4, 2787 Beck Avenue.
Second.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Next, that council receive the Comox Valley Regional Tourism Service Summary Report.
Move receipt.
Second.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. It's good to be in front of you again. As we've discussed over this summer, you once again have a regional tourism report in front of you. This is just a quick summary report stemming from our conversation at Committee of the Whole last month and bringing forward in the recommendation the request on behalf of the CVRD to consent to the adoption of their new bylaw. As you can see through the summary, there's near the back, there's some key points that we discussed when we discussed if we should be a member or how we should access regional tourism service. 5 little bullets there that kind of cover the area, key topics that we discussed, and what we see as the benefits, the staff sees the benefits of being part of that service, from cost to being able to participate in the administration, and I think most importantly, the strategic planning, the goals and what that service is expected to achieve. You know, and then of course is the assets and as well as the hotel tax or MRDT that we always discussed. But before we ask for one final decision or direction on behalf of council, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So let's start with Councillor Kettler. Do you have any questions?
Again, just sort of a comment on, you know, this has been a long process. We no longer have economic development at the regional district. It's just this tourism service as a regional service, and all the economic development is done individually by the municipalities in the areas now. And I think that's been a really good move. It's saved the region quite a bit of money, and I think it's much more in line with the values of local governments that we have now. And Tourism Vancouver Island, which they're now 4VI, I think is what they're called, is a social enterprise, and they've been doing really good work with us already as with the village, even though we're not a paying participant as of yet. And they certainly have come and described to us some of their direction around sustainable tourism, as opposed to basically sort of the very sort of mass scale destination marketing that we were experiencing before. So I think it's a really good direction, and there's a lot of positives I think that we'll be getting out of this service. So thanks.
Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I think all my concerns have been addressed through the process. I appreciated the recent delegation from the CVRD to speak to this, and all the information we've received from Tourism Vancouver Island. The fact of the matter is we have lots and lots of tourists that like to come here, and we need to manage them somehow. So this is our best way forward to have as much influence as possible over that process, particularly the strategic planning, which I'm very much looking forward to. And so yeah, let's get on it.
Councillor Sullivan?
Yeah, it's been really nice seeing them having boots on the ground every weekend and seeing people engaging with them. And yeah, pretty confident that we're going to benefit from their services.
Councillor Sproul?
I think it's, well, we've had a few presentations on this already, and I'm feeling comfortable about working with this group. I get a good feeling from it. It's a fresh start, and I don't know if you'd call it branding, but they are going to be coming up with the right brand message for people visiting Cumberland. And we have a chance, I mean, if we don't like it, we do have some out. But nothing is here that causes me to be concerned. It's good.
Okay. I agree with all the comments that have been made. It's been quite the process, and I think it's reconnecting us with the rest of the valley in tourism, because it is important to all of us, the tourist dollar, and what we have in celebrating our uniqueness from each other instead of the other way around. We are a diverse valley, and we would need to be there to talk about the future of tourism. I've spoken to the young lady across the street numerous times, and it's amazing the people, the international people that are coming here from other countries. And I just talked to one couple from Seattle that rode their bikes up from Victoria, and in the group that they were in, they were the only ones that wanted to come to Cumberland, and they made the commitment that they were coming back to spend more time here. They fell in love with it when they got here. So that happens to a lot of people. So it's an interesting concept of it's what has been in the OCP for many, many years, attract tourists because they go home. And so I think we've proven that it does happen. So what is your pleasure, Council?
That the Village of Cumberland consents to the adoption of the Comox Valley Regional District Bylaw number 725, being Comox Valley Economic Development Service Conversion Bylaw number 345, 2016, Amendment number 3 under Section 346 of the Local Government Act.
Seconder?
Second.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Next, we have Council's report, and mine, I'm going to give a verbal. On August 1st, I did attend Nautical Days in the Parade in Comox and the Mayor's Luncheon. It was very well received. It was one of the hottest days of the year, and you really looked for shade on that day. On the 6th, I was invited to Ronna Ray Leonard, the the MLA, to meet with Minister David Eby, who is running for the premier position of BC, and I spoke with him about two issues. One was BC housing, of which he is the minister of, and the other was the private managed forest lands and our watershed. And he was very receptive, but he has a steep learning curve to learn about private managed forest. Next, I attended Village Square on a weekly basis for the concerts. They were amazing. They were wonderful to sit and listen to, and the people certainly did enjoy them. I did attend the All Candidates Workshop held by the Comox Valley District and Cumberland, and it was done by Zoom. It was very informative. I hope everybody has the opportunity. I think it is been recorded, has it not? Yeah, I see Vicky shaking her head. Yep, okay. And also attended out the lake, to the concert out at the lake on occasion, and that was also well attended. You almost have a captive audience when you've got people camping there. Well done. Next, I had a meeting with BC's Parliamentary Secretary for Rural Development, Rory Russell, who represents Boundary Similkameen. It was requested that I show him the innovative work happening in Cumberland and explain how it has been transformed over these last few years. And during that tour, we toured for an hour and a half. I took him everywhere possible. We just didn't have enough time to see everything, but we discussed economic development in the Bevan lands. He really liked what was going on out there, thought it was very interesting. Walked the commercial core and talked about the heritage buildings and what was happening in the downtown, talked about the business association newly formed, and also took him on a tour of Union Road, and he wanted to take a picture of the roadway there and the forest, because that's where they just gave us a check for $480,000 to put water into our property, and that was he wanted a picture of the trees. And we talked about tourism, the UROC, the trails, Lake Park, community school, community forest society, our relationship with the regional district, and just working with them on tourism and parks and greenways plans and emergency preparedness plan. And we have a long-standing issue of aging infrastructure and the work we have to complete the work that we've done today on our water, on our sewer and roads, and that we will be continuing to do that. We didn't visit the water system or the sewage lagoon system. We just did not have time. I also talked about the museum and the fire hall, and which was really interesting when we went out to the lake park. The young man that is his assistant grew up in Courtenay and had visited the park many times, and he noticed the difference in how well it's been maintained and the new washrooms. So it was a really enjoyable day, and I've invited him back so that he did go to the bakery, but he wasn't able to go to the brewery. So he will be back. Attended the Comox Valley Chamber to say goodbye to Diane Hawkins, who is retired after being the CEO for 18 years. And she is going to stay in the valley, and she will be taking a rest, but then she'll be looking for a job. I attended the Quadra Cadet Training Center, and part of that process is to actually speak to the cadets and inspect them on parade. So you get the opportunity to talk to these students from all over Canada. And they're so enthusiastic, they're so great. One of the things they've added this year is it's called mountain biking, where they learn to ride mountain bikes. Most of them are there for the sailing and the sailing school, but they learned all kinds of things here, and they also did their mountain biking on Mount Washington, and they learned to ride on intermediate and advanced trails and how to repair their bikes. Apparently that's really important, knowing how to repair your bike. So I did attend the Comox Valley exhibition ceremonies, and had an enjoyable time out there with all the entertainment that they did. Attended Rib Fest opening ceremonies, and then volunteered to speak with attendees. Also got to do the judging for the Rib Fest. If you ever get the opportunity, please do. It was quite an experience. And the last thing is, throughout the summer, spoke to many residents and tourists, received many emails about wood stoves, and I don't know if anybody else has heard about the wood stoves and their lobbying everyone on council. And so I've been answering all those emails. So that is my report. Any questions from anybody? No? Councillor Brown.
Thank you. So I guess I was the only one that didn't get the memo that we should just do the verbal reports this meeting because it's summer. Anyway, so I did manage to squeeze it in. And I think, the highlight for me, lots of the similar things, the concert in the park, that's just been amazing. I'm so glad we were able to support that. And hopefully they'll be back next year. But the Aubon ceremony was really lovely, and if y'all have the chance to go in the future, it is really quite something. And then the other awesome thing I did was the Source Encounters canoe trip through the lake park, but connected by water. And you don't actually paddle that much, which was disappointing. But we did paddle over to the new park, CVRD Park, and there was music, which was lovely, and stories and a bit of history, and just contextualizing that area and the importance of watersheds and watershed health and forest health and all that good stuff. So I'm not sure there's any left of those, but it was really well done. And that's it.
I think they're doing one Thursday this week.
Yeah, there were 2 more before the end of the year. So I don't know if that's the last one.
Okay, Councillor Sproul, did you want to add anything?
Oh, just how much is going on everywhere, and the lake park particularly always has programs, free programs, which is quite amazing. And the large canoes, I have yet to go in the canoes, but mainly I'd say it was a month of dancing. There's so many events, and big and small, and we don't have to drive anywhere. So how's that for sustainable?
I know one that I did forget. Okay, Councillor Kettler.
Yeah, I did some dancing this month. It was pretty sweet. And unfortunately didn't take a break from CVRD board meetings, had the regular meetings this month. Not too much that had to do with Cumberland, but did want to talk about a letter of support that we gave to Island Coastal Economic Trust. So the trust, if they don't get any further funding, will be winding up in 2024. So there's a big push to recapitalize it, and that's going to be happening. They're going to, ICE-T is going to be giving the province a big package at UBCM next week. So they're looking for a minimum $150 million investment. And also the inclusion of First Nations in the provincial legislation, as they're excluded currently, even though ICE-T has made efforts to include First Nations communities in the projects. It's just the legislation has them excluded currently, and so we would like to have them included, as well as get recapitalized. And even if we do get the minimum of 150, that's actually still a much smaller investment per capita than any of the other trusts in BC. So we're hoping that they will see that and see how important it is to our communities. Of course, the Cumberland Business Association's project that's happening right now, the murals that are getting painted by our wonderful local artists right now, that was an ICE-T funded project. And I also helped open the Courtney Parklet, which is beside the Courtney Museum, last week. And that was another ICE-T funded project, and there are so many, but those are just two recent ones. And then I attended the International Overdose, which we now call the Toxic Drug Poisoning Awareness Day at Sims Park, August 31st. And I talked to a lot of the frontline agencies and at their booths, and general agreement that the problem is getting much worse, and there's new kinds of cocktails of things coming out that are even more lethal than the previous stuff. So it is really important that we keep on this and keep up the advocacy. Gorjohn's bill, C-216, which was calling for decriminalization, expungement of criminal records, creation of the national strategy, which would include universal access to recovery and treatment programs and safe supply. It got defeated at second reading in June, but the federal government did give BC, at the province's request, an exemption to the criminal code to allow for possession of small amounts of illicit drugs. So there is a pilot that will be happening, but we still need all the other things that go along with being able to effectively fight this crisis. And like I mentioned, the recovery and treatment and safe supply. So there is a new petition that is coming out, and hopefully people will seek that out and sign that. So that's going back to the federal government to ask for all those things that were left off the list during the first round of the bill. And that's all. Thank you.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you. Just a regular council meeting in August. There was no Comox Strathcona solid waste or hospital boards, so I mostly was dancing this month with all of you guys. Definitely the standouts of Thursday and Friday. The square, I mean, if we could have that every year, I think Cumberland was just on fire this summer, and kind of just seeing all the community get back to what we usually do and seeing everybody several times a week and seeing music for free all the time, which is something we've been getting used to, so that's been really nice. I volunteered at the Cumberland Wild, which was more music and awesome stuff and a great thing for our community, and as well as Ribfest. I was really happy to see that come to Cumberland, and managed to make it 4 times in 3 days, which is better than once when it's in Courtney, so that was a nice change to that. And talked to a lot of people about the upcoming situation in town, and so it's been an interesting month of conversing with the community and stuff.
Yeah, the one item I forgot, and I don't know how I could forget it, is the Cumberland Wild. That was a great night, shows. It was very interesting and a fun event. It was so nice to see so many families and kids. A lot of rave reviews this year. So kudos to them. So can we have a motion to receive?
Move receipt.
Second.
All in favor? Carried. Next, bylaws.
Give final adoption to remove final adoption to business license amendment bylaw number 1171 2022.
Second.
All in favor? Carried. No new business. Notice, motions, and announcements. Advisory Planning Commission, 4 p.m., September the 8th. Accessibility and Inclusion Committee, 3 p.m., September the 12th. Heritage Committee, 5 p.m., September the 12th. And Committee of the Whole, 2 p.m., September the 19th. Question period. If anybody has any questions, could you please info@cumberland.ca. Questions only, please.
Questions, Courtney?
Jeopardy theme or something.
But just to remind everybody, we're off to UBCM this weekend, so we will be gone for 5 days.
Will the place be able to live without us?
It's always still here, it seems like, when we come back.
We're leaving it in capable hands, aren't we, Kevin?
At least we're traveling in a few separate vehicles this
Yes.
time.
My van is way better.
Security.
Last time we were all in one vehicle. Could have been
That
kind of
is-
A tragedy.
kind of
Yeah.
like the day the music died, the day the.
Yeah. We're smarter than that now. We're spreading it out. Smarter.
Any questions?
I was just checking the YouTube channel. There's one watching, and I think it must be me.
Everybody enjoying getting their kids back to school today?
They're gonna watch by the droves.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's afterwards.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Just, it's dinner time.
Yeah.
Closed portion then?
So I'll move closed portion that we go in camera according to section 90 A and C, personal information and labor relations.
Second.
All in favor? Carried.